Here's Red Barn Radio's Brad Becker.
Well, good evening, folks. Thanks for being with us on Red Barn Radio. Our guest tonight is Josh Gray and the Dark Features. Their 2019 release is Songs of the Highway. Josh, as I told you, I had a great time listening to the album over the last couple of days. Lost some considerable work time today. Lost in it, which was also fun. Josh is getting some great press on this new album. The Oklahoma Review says Josh Gray's Songs of the Highways, without a doubt, one of the best albums I have heard in 2019. This is a debut album you are not going to want to sleep on. Get on the wagon now, as Josh Gray is sure to be a household name in the music business sooner rather than later. And I think I'd agree. How does that make you feel to hear a review like that?
I mean, great, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great thing for someone to appreciate what you put your heart into. You know,
Yeah.
This is at least 3 years of my life. You know, the stories on it. It took 3 years to write the songs and record them, but you know, there's a lot more living in there than just 3 years.
Can you be in today's music business? Can you be a household name doing one album every 3 years?
I choose to believe that you can.
Yeah.
I have never been someone who writes songs who says I wrote a song today. You know, I don't. Songs take me months to write.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe I just don't have that talent to write it that quickly, and some people do. But I think good things take time. That's how I feel about it. And I really feel like we're in the age of Spotify and things like this, and I'm not going to let an app dictate how I make art. You know, and I'm not going to. My favorite artists release albums, and I'm going to release albums. I'm not going to put out singles to get likes. You know, maybe on some people's epitaphs it'll say, you know, they got this many likes. I don't really care about that.
Good.
I'm in it for the long haul. I feel that, you know, people go back and listen to your catalog and see what they missed.
Yeah.
And I think we're just trying to play in front of as many people as possible, and the more people that hear it, you know, we hear nothing but positive things. So
Good. And so tell folks how you're in Nashville now. That's home for you. Tell folks about your path to Nashville.
Path to Nashville. Okay. So I grew up in Maryland, in a place that had no music scene, basically. And then I got a guitar when I was 16. I'd been writing poetry and stuff like that since I was 12, you know, crappy poetry like most kids do.
Most kids, I don't know that most kids do that.
Well, those who write poetry write crappy poetry. at that age. And then I moved to Frederick, Maryland, which is a small kind of music, little artsy scene. And I was dared by a friend to play an open mic, you know, because we were going to these open mics for a while and just kind of observing. And I was writing these songs, not necessarily thinking about performing them, but just writing them. And slowly going to ease my way into it, you know, but he dared me, and, you know, the rest is history.
You're how old at this point?
I was 31.
Oh,
at that
okay.
point.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. So we fast forwarded from 16.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I tried to start a bunch of bands, you know, and people were flaky, and it just didn't happen. So I said, if I do anything, it's going to be a solo thing. And I recorded a solo EP in Frederick, and then in 2016, I moved down to Nashville and started trying to, you know, meet people and form a band.
Yeah, and you did a crowdsourcing there to a sort of a crowdfunding, I guess, is what we
Definitely,
call it,
yeah.
crowdfunding, to gather some money together to do the CD you wanted to do, the album you wanted to do.
For sure.
Yeah, tell folks about that sort of process and how that works.
I'm stubborn and I don't want to be told what to do. So
I get that
I
impression.
didn't necessarily, on something that was so personal to me and so important to me, I didn't want, a label kind of telling me what to do. So I didn't even really approach that. The band here, I'm going to take a second to introduce the band. We have Kenzie
good.
Miracle on fiddle.
All right.
We have Julio Matos on bass and Jason Monday on drums. And these guys who were with me, they all played on the album. So
That's also unusual.
I think so.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. We always have artists on the program talking about the CD they had done in a studio, and all the people were hired hands.
We hired some people, but this is my core band, and I really feel that we are a band together. In Nashville, there's a lot of people that play where they are it's singer-songwriter and hired guns. You know what I mean? You never know who's going to be on stage with them at that moment, but these guys always play with me, and that's how I feel about it. And it's extremely hard to form that kind of thing in Nashville. Everyone who moves to Nashville, they've already done the failed band thing in their own hometown, and they came down to Nashville, and they're just they want to make money, and they're gonna jump on projects and things like that. But these guys stayed with me, and we recorded something really special, and we spent months arranging so that when we got in the studio, we recorded, and basically they did their parts in like 4 days, and. Yeah.
So talk about the crowdfunding part of how that worked.
So we didn't have the money to do it. So being the savvy, social media person that I've had to become, that you have to become being a musician these days. I don't want to tell you how many business social media books I've read. It's something I'd rather not do. I'd rather be writing songs.
You mean you've spent time actually making a little bit of a study of it about
definitely
how you got to go about it?
So we did a 30-day campaign on Kickstarter, and we recorded like 30 videos, and we released a video a day pretty much. So it was a ton of work, but in the end, we raised nearly $9,000. To do all the recording, it's an amazing thing to have people believe in your project before they've heard a single song. It's
Well, yeah.
crazy.
So what role do you think the videos played when you made this study? Was that sort of part of the manual? Is like you need lots of visual media to put out there?
Well, you start looking at things. You start looking at what gets the most hits, right? I mean, video gets the most hits.
Yeah, sure.
That's why you guys are doing video here, not just taking
Indeed.
pictures of us.
That's right.
So we released a ton of videos. I uncomfortably asked a bunch of people to share them. That's out of my comfort zone. They asked people to share them. They shared them. I have my email newsletter, so I emailed out to those people who had heard me back in Maryland and all over. But we were talking earlier about this kind of interesting story regarding the Kickstarter campaign and raising the money. So
tell that.
I was going to bring that up. So I don't know anything about cars. I'm not a car guy. I commissioned an artist that I like to do the artwork for the back of the album and the artwork for our T-shirt as well, and it depicts. Part of this story, Two Hearts, which is one of the songs in the album, one of the songs that we're going to play for you. But I just told him, draw me a badass muscle car, and he drew this car, and I had no idea what car it was. And it's like, I don't care. I'm not embarrassed about it. But like, it's easily recognizable by a lot of people. It's like a 65 Mustang fastback. So I had to go online and like search the air vents and do all this stuff and find out what kind of car it was. And then I went on to Nashville Facebook groups like Mustang owners groups. And I finally found the one guy who had the car in the right color because it was kind of an afterthought to do this whole photo shoot.
Was this person down near where you lived?
Yeah, a little bit outside of Nashville.
Okay.
So they came in and they agreed to do the photo shoot. And I said, obviously I'll pay you for your time. And they came and it was an older couple, and they came in and hung out and watched us do this whole photo shoot for an hour. And I offered to pay them, and they wouldn't take my money. Super nice. And then back to the Kickstarter, we're like 5 days away from the end of it, and it's like we're like $1,300 down or $1,200 down, something like that. And this mystery donation comes in, and I go and check the email. It's the guy with the car. So
that is just
pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's a great story. You want to tell people about the song Two Hearts? Can you tell people the story of that? I know it's coming up in the set.
I honestly don't. I don't want to tell them about Two Hearts because it itself is a story song.
Oh, got you. Okay.
So you listen to the song and you're going to get it.
How about like a teaser?
It's badass.
Okay, all right, there we go. Well, folks, stay tuned. We've got some badass music coming up here with Josh Gray and the Dark Features. Glad to have you guys with us.
Thanks so much for
and
having us.
I'm looking forward to talking some more after you play some more tunes.
Appreciate
Welcome them back, folks. Josh Gray and the Dark Features. This evening on Red Barn Radio, Josh is here with his band. Julio Matos on bass, Jason Monday playing drums back there, and we recognize both of you guys from previous Red Barn Radio programs. And someone I don't recognize, though, is Kenzie Miracle, who's playing, who's filling out sort of all the lead duties this evening. How's that going, Kenzie? It sounds great from this side.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Tell folks how you ended up in Nashville.
Well, it's kind of a long story. So I started playing music when I was 4.
Set the timer, Ed. No. Take as long as you want to take to tell the story.
So I started when I was 4 playing classical music, and I started with the Suzuki music program in Columbus, Ohio, and grew up playing all my life. My whole family was musical, and
classical was your family classical music family?
Almost everyone in my family are band directors or some kind of teacher to some degree.
And was there some expectation that you would be sort of following that track, that music education track?
Yeah, music education was for sure the one that was kind of pushed. And then I was like, I really want to perform. I don't really love teaching. Like, it's fine, but I just enjoy playing for people. That's like my true passion.
Yeah.
So talked to my mom about it, and she was like, you know what, I support you. I wanted to do trumpet performance growing up, and I went and did education, and now I'm not using it. So so I decided to study classical violin performance in college, and they happened to offer a bluegrass program. So I was like, well, I'll try that for sure. So freshman year did that. Sophomore year I was like, I love it. I have to switch. So that became my full-time thing, and I just did classical on the side. And my family's lives changed quite a bit from there because it was going to classical orchestra concerts, and then now I'm a bluegrass performance major and playing in old-time bluegrass bands and traveling all over, kind of to some crazy places like dirt roads. You can't find it on the map kind of thing.
Yeah, right, real places.
Yep, so did that for about 2 years, I think, out of college, maybe just a year. But then I was like, you know what, I think I need to make that leap. It's scary, but I've got to do it. So moved down to Nashville, and the rest is kind of history. I've just played with a lot of musicians, network as much as possible, and each band leads to the next kind of thing.
Is that how it works?
Oh, yeah, definitely. At least for me.
Yeah. Well, way to go. You're doing a great job, and you sure do play an integral role in this ensemble.
Thank you.
Yeah. Really nice to meet you.
Yeah, you
Thanks
too.
for coming to Red Barn.
Yeah.
Nice to have you in Lexington. And then, so hey, Josh, we were talking about all kinds of things, and I'm going to have to sort of reel it in because I have all kinds of little notes and things here. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing. One thing I would really like to know is why she's standing there. One thing I would really like to know is if you might talk a little bit about that that period of time in your life between the time when you got that guitar and then you started a performing career at age 31, which is what would we call that? Non-traditional.
Right.
Yeah, it's like you're like a non-traditional student in some ways in the music world.
Well, you just talked to someone who's been playing since she was 4.
Yeah, right. Exactly, right. So yeah, what you said I saw this in your biomaterials that when somebody said, "What took you so long to do what you're doing?" and you said, "Well, I wasn't ready."
Right.
And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what it means, what it meant for you to be unready.
That's a good question. I like that you worded it, what it means to me, because it's definitely different for other people.
Yeah.
For every person. I got a guitar when I was 16, and I was just talking to these guys in the truck when we were driving up here. I took 2 lessons, and I was like, this feels like school. I don't want to do this. I want this to be fun. So I just kind of played on my own in my basement, and just came up with little melodies and came up with things and just taught myself. There was also a conscious decision to not learn cover songs. For fear that style of playing would subconsciously work its way into my style.
So meaning that you only did stuff that you put together yourself, or did you allow yourself to rearrange songs like you just did Heart of Gold, but you did it sort of in your own way?
So at that time when I got the guitar and I was just kind of playing around for many years, I didn't play any covers. I didn't rearrange anything. It just took me a long time to where I felt like I got good at guitar before I got good at writing lyrics.
Huh.
I feel like, and then I feel like you said, when I was 31, they reached the same level, or a level that I was happy with.
Uh-huh.
And that's when I knew I was ready to go out and play music. I did play a song on a very obscure album that came out many years ago. So we're gonna play a song here coming up pretty soon, "Punk Rock Girl" by the Dead Milkmen.
Uh-huh.
And I'm friends with Joe, their guitarist, up in Philly, and they released an album, like a compilation album of a lot of their well-known songs. It was called "Now We Are 20," when they were 20 years old as a band. And so, as a surprise birthday party, my friend Marshall arranged with all of Joe's musician friends, a lot of them, to record this album called "Now You Are 50," and then present it to them. And we rented out this venue in Philly and presented it with them. I lied to them and led them there, and we all surprised them.
And so you're featured on
I'm
that?
on there, yeah, before I knew really how to sing, so don't look for it. And because I taught myself to play guitar, I'm not amazing at guitar, and we were talking about this as well. I feel like you have to make a choice at some point, whether you're going to focus on lyrics or focus on music. I really believe that's a choice. So I'm not, I play those cowboy chords, and I really focus, 95% on lyrics. I think if you focus 50% of your time on getting good at an instrument, then you're going to be 50% a good writer. That's just how I kind of feel about it. And also, I mean, the guitar for me was always a canvas for the lyrics. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like we're getting off track here.
No,
but
not at all.
I'm just
Not at all.
rambling.
So I mean, long before you were comfortable, getting out onto a stage with your guitar, you were comfortable as a writer, and did that start off for you at a pretty young age, where you sort of felt like you talked about writing corny poetry when you were a teenager, but after that time, did you start writing some stuff that you felt?
No, I think kind
good
of
about?
the time I started playing live was the same time that I felt that the
Wow.
music and the lyrics aligned.
Huh.
So it kind of happened around the same time.
Wow, it all came together all at once.
But everyone has their favorite songwriters, and I have mine. And I'm looking up to some, I'm looking up to like Leonard Cohen and Dylan and people like that. So like I don't feel like I'm there, but I feel like I've gotten close enough to be comfortable going out and playing songs. you
Yeah.
know. I feel like you have to have good influences. You talked about when you know you're ready. You know what I mean? If your influences are not good songwriters, and you want to become a songwriter, then you're going to be ready much earlier. So it took me a long time.
Yeah.
But from those positive reviews, you're talking about, I feel like people are resonating
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I see in your writing is it seems like you flex a pretty good empathy muscle when you're writing a song. It's like that guy who steps up to the person on the street, the homeless person on the street, and offers them a drink. I mean, because usually what happens is we say, well, don't give that guy on the street money because he's going to go out and buy a drink with it.
Right.
And so your character in your song says, hey, let's go have a drink. And
Right.
then interestingly, the guy declines.
Yeah.
But I find that, that to me is just an interesting twist that I see going on in a lot of your tunes.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate you paying attention to that. A lot of songs that I write like that are I'm trying to shine a light on, to remove the shadow of the stigma, that a lot of people have, the assumption that they're all drug addicts or alcoholics.
Right.
I was reading an article, and it said the average American has $1,000 in savings. I mean, so if something happens to your car, or and you can't get to work, or something happens to you health-wise, and you can't work, I mean, that's why that song ends, with it, it could be me.
Yeah, right. Well, the perspective, is terrific. And it also, I mean, not only is it healthy, but it also seems to me that it's generating some interesting, song material for you. It doesn't strike me as song material that the Nashville that I know is interested in. What's your experience? What are you finding? When you as you get to know your audience, whether it's through who's listening on Spotify, or what reviewers are saying, or what people are saying to you out and about, what are you learning about your audience and how they feel about the honesty in your songs?
I think the people who really resonate with it really like it. You know, I'm a big believer that you know, you play to. I don't hold back. This is my one outlet, you know. So if I can't be myself here, if I have to play a part, what's the point? If I'm playing to 300 people, I'm still going to play that song that might not go over well, you know, because the 5 fans out of the 300 that I'll win from it, they're going to be lifelong fans. You know what I mean? And if I'm playing till the day I die, that's I think I'll rack up enough of them over the years, you know?
Yeah, I do too. Well, I know you've racked up a few here tonight. Folks, I hope you're enjoying this program as much as I am. Josh Gray and the Dark Features, they have a CD, Songs of the Highway, out there, and it's a great listen. I urge you to check it out. You can get it online through the usual channels, I assume.
Everywhere.
Is that right? Good. Okay.
We are all over digitally. As of today, we are in CD Central in Lexington.
Yay! All
so
right.
if you like what you hear and you're in the area and you couldn't make it out, definitely swing by there and pick one up.
Well, good. You went
yeah.
over there and met those guys today. Good.
Good people over there.
Very nice. Welcome back, folks. Josh Gray and the Dark Features on Red Barn Radio.
Thank you.